Hello everybody, it's Pitcher Gold Black here and welcome back to another video. Today in this video I'm going to be reviewing two editions of the same book, of a book that definitely deserves to be reviewed, and that is just an incredible book, as you'll soon find out when I get to my opinions on it. But that book is, as you can see, The Witch Hunters by Steve Lyons. So I'll just go both of the fronts, sides and blurbs of both editions, and then I'll move on to my overall thoughts and opinions on The Witch Hunters. So without further ado, let us begin this review. Okay then, so let's take a look at the original edition from 1997. This is very rare now. I've seen this go for quite high price, being listed for quite high prices in the kind of for sales section in Doctor Who magazine, and I've seen this go for fairly high prices on eBay, not like really expensive, but around the £10 mark, which is, and the reason why I bring this up is because I got it for the bargain price of only £1 in this charity shop, sometime late last year. So yeah, now let's take a look at the cover. Got the BBC logo up there, kind of icy kind of looking Doctor Who logo, or icy iteration of the 1996 Paul McGann movie logo, or 8th Doctor logo. Then here we've got The Witch Hunters, then the author's name down there, Steve Lyons. And then for the actual cover art image itself, which is very simple, albeit very wonderful, you've got a very concerned looking First Doctor and Susan in this kind of fiery, swirling inferno kind of thing, with a cross that's burning next to them. So yeah, then there's the spine. As you can see, this copy is extremely creased because that's the condition I got this in. So yeah, there's the spine, and I will read both blurbs off on both editions because they do vary a bit. So yeah, the Reverend Samuel Parris, minister of Salem, follows three strangers in the forest beyond the village, a forest which is traditionally believed to be the source of much evil. He hears movement through the trees, steps forward and makes a terrible discovery. It is one which will change life in Salem forever. The TARDIS arrives in Salem Village, Massachusetts, 1692. The Doctor wishes to effect repairs to his ship in peace and privacy, and so his companions Ian, Barbara and Susan decide to live history for a week or so. But the friendships they make are abruptly broken when the Doctor ushers them away, wary of being overtaken by the tragic events he knows will occur. Upon learning the terrible truth of the Salem witch trials, Susan is desperate to return at any price. Her actions lead to the TARDIS crew into terrible jeopardy, and her latent telepathy threatens to help the tragedy escalate way out of control. Featuring the First Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Susan, this adventure takes place between the Reign of Terror and Planet of Giants. So yeah, and then there's that kind of edition of The Witch Hunters, the original 1997. Now we have the latest edition of it, which is the 2015, or February 2015 reprint of it from the History Collection. So up here we have a BBC logo and a black 8th Doctor logo. The Witch Hunters by Steve Lyons in a very nice text, and then you've got the History Collection banner down here. I really like how these books have been made, or generally the artwork of them. I just love how this kind of looks like an old torn photograph or something, or like the History Collection banner is, or the History Collection is like written on a envelope and then just torn off and just stuck on the cover. It looks brilliant. And then there's the spine. And then there's the back. One thing to note, I have read the original edition, but I haven't read this edition yet, so I'll be very excited to read this, or to read this edition of it sometime soon. The Doctor, and up here you've got the quote, which I think is on every History Collection book. And another quick thing to note, it seems to be a bit of a thing now, the BBC just completely photoshopping kind of doctors from different covers and images and that stuff onto the kind of covers and stuff. Like I said in my 10 Little Aliens book review, the Doctor from that was completely photoshopped, copied and pasted from the Daleks Master Plan. This one, as you can clearly see, is William Hartnell's somewhat famous "Oh shit" look from the Web Planet DVD cover. So yeah, that doesn't make the cover bad or anything like that, it's just a little detail I thought I'd point out. So yeah, you got that quote up there. The Doctor is a legend woven through history, which I think is on every history collection book. With the Doctor wanting to repair the TARDIS in peace and quiet, Barbara, Ian and Susan decide to get some experience of living in the nearby village of Salem, but the Doctor knows about the horrors destined to engulf the village and determines that they should leave. His friends are not impressed. His granddaughter Susan has her own ideas and is desperate to return, whatever the cost, but perhaps the Doctor is right. Perhaps Susan's actions will lead them all into terrible danger and cause the tragedy that is already unfolding to escalate way out of control. A adventure set in the 17th century Salem witch trials, featuring the first Doctors played by William Hartnell and his companions Susan, Ian and Barbara. And they've got a bit of miscellaneous things down here. An interesting fact about this book is that it was, if you were to read the actual kind of introduction, Steve Lyons wrote this, the introduction Steve Lyons wrote here. If you were to read that edition, if you were to read that from this edition, you will find out that this was actually intended to be a 7th Doctor book originally, which is very interesting. Now on my overall thoughts and opinions of The Witch Hunters. Scary, tense, thrilling and absolutely compelling, The Witch Hunters by Steve Lyons is easily the most astonishing and powerful Doctor Who book I have ever read. I would say if you like historical stories, this book is an absolute must. As you would have gathered from the above, I think the writing in this book is incredible. I think Steve Lyons did an amazing job at this dark and gritty depiction of the infamous Salem witch trials. Another thing I really liked about this book is the incorporation of the "you can't rewrite history, not one line" theme. Basically, the Doctor, Susan, Ian and Barbara get entangled in the trials. Susan learns the true horrors of what they are and becomes very against them as a whole, much like how Barbara reacted to the Aztec sacrifices in the Aztecs. I would also say the characterization in this book as well is pretty fantastic, with many wonderful and memorable characters created, such as the Reverend Samuel Parris, Minister of Salem. Perhaps my favourite parts of the book is the end of episode 4, The Weight of History, and all of episode 5, Innocent Blood. I don't want to spoil anything about the events in these specific parts of the book, because it's pretty incredible of what actually happens, so I'll keep it as vague as this. The end of episode 4 involves something happening to characters that is almost unthinkable, and one such occurrence I don't think I've experienced before in a Doctor Who story in any format. Big Finish, TV, whatever. Another great moment within these two parts itself, or namely within the 5th episode, is the final few pages of the book itself, which I found to be utterly marvellous and absolutely captivating. Another detail I really liked in this book is that the episodes are actually named, giving it the feel of an early First Doctor adventure, with episode 1, Break the Chain, episode 2, The End of the World, episode 3, Dreaming of the Devil, episode 4, The Weight of History, and episode 5, Innocent Blood. All in all, The Witch Hunters is a masterpiece of Doctor Who fiction, but if there's one problem I had with it, is that the episode lengths can be a bit crazy. It starts off nice and calm, with episode 1 being only about 20 pages, then the second is about 60, then the third is close to 130. Overall, this is probably my favourite original Doctor Who novel, and I would rate The Witch Hunters a 9.5 out of 10. And that pretty much concludes my book reviewing of the original 1997 edition of The Witch Hunters and its new History Collection 2015 release. So like, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Pitch Cold Black, Dematerializing.